Hey YouTube, what is up? Welcome back to my channel, LV's Life in Progress. I'm LV, and I'm here to talk about how I lost 20 pounds this year. So, at the beginning of this year and at the end of last year, I hit my highest weight, which was 225 pounds, and I'm 5'3", so it was a lot. And now, as of this morning, I'm officially 20 pounds down. I just wanted to share some tips and tricks with you today about how I did that. My meal prep, what I think about nutrition, everything from what I learned, why I did it, why I don't really talk about it that much in real life, and if I would do it again. So if you're tired, busy, or dealing with just chronic health issues, I got you. This is a super sustainable way, super low energy way, and super lazy way that I lost my first 20 pounds. Habit number 1 is daily gentle movement. So in the past, I was really sedentary. I didn't exercise at all. But this year, I've really been focusing on consistency, and that's actually my word of the year. So one way that I'm trying to be more consistent this year is definitely with my health and my fitness. And habit number 1 is daily gentle movement, which is a habit that I just am practicing this year in 2026. So I started off by doing short sessions on a walking pad, or if the weather was nice, which it hasn't been rarely because I live in Wisconsin and it's a winter since I moved here. But anyways, yeah, I started walking outside if I could, or walking on my walking pad at home just for short walks, like 15-minute walks, and then I built up to 30 minutes every day, and then I kind of built up to the point where I'm at now, which is walking consistently for at least an hour every day. And I'm working on right now increasing the incline and also the speed at which I walk, because I think that it's challenging and it's nice. And I found that daily gentle movement really helps me because in my fitness journey, because not only does it incorporate cardio workouts into my routine, it also helps my mood, my ADHD, my restlessness, and my hyperactivity. It really helps me focus, even if I do just like a short session, even just an hour a day, helps me throughout the rest of my whole day. So habit number 2 is volume eating. And this sounds kind of counterintuitive. I mean, like, if you're trying to lose weight, shouldn't you eat less? That's what everyone tells you. That's what everyone kind of thinks. But I found that for me, the answer was actually to eat more. See, on diets like the keto diet and other really, really high protein, low carb diets, I've tried those and I've lost weight with those, but they don't really satisfy me. I found that I'm a person who really needs fiber in their diet, and like most Americans, I wasn't getting enough fiber. So now I focus on getting fiber and protein in my diet, and I also gently monitor other things like I don't add oils, I don't add salts or sugars to the things I cook, and I eat mostly home-cooked things. But yeah, fiber really helps add bulk and volume to your meals. For example, this could be anything from like a green salad to something like a coleslaw, or, just a side of veggies, or, a starch with a lot of fiber like beans. Another area that this has really helped me is with my binge eating disorder. And binge eating is something I've struggled with for a really, really long time, probably my whole life, basically. I can't like imagine or think back to a time when that wasn't me, when that wasn't in my mental. But now I feel like I am putting into action things that I learned in therapy last year, and it's been really helpful. One of those things is adding more bulk and just taking more time to eat the meals. So it sounds really complicated, but just like the past healthy habit that I talked about with walking daily, a typical good day is pretty simple. So my meal prep and my meal plan, it's actually really simple. Every day is basically I eat the same things, which just keeps it really simple for me to meal prep and buy and shop for, and just, keep it all nutritionally balanced. So every morning I start the day off with a bunch of water as well as my medications, and I drink coffee like as soon as possible in the morning because I'm addicted to caffeine a little bit like everybody else. Yes, I know it's bad for me. And then after my partner leaves for work, I usually have a fruit like a banana or an apple. And after that, I usually have meal prepped overnight oats, which are just really simple 1/2 cup rolled oats, 1/2 cup soy milk, non flavored. And then I add Splenda, 1 tablespoon, and 2 tablespoons of generic powdered peanut butter. And that gets me through until lunch. And lunch, I usually meal prep too. It's usually, I'll put a picture of it right here. It's like usually like a little container with 3 compartments. And in those compartments, I usually try to use the big compartment for my beans because beans are basically the foundation of where I get my protein and my fiber from because I don't eat meat. So I'll have 1/2 a cup to a cup of beans and maybe an extra protein like a chunk of tofu or something like that. And then I will use the other half quarter size sections of the compartment plate. And in one of the sections, I will put non starchy vegetables like green beans and onions or something like that. And then in the last compartment, I will put my starch. So usually I'll put potatoes or quinoa, rice, anything like that. I usually don't put bread because it just doesn't fill me up. But if I make homemade bread, I could definitely put it in there if it warmed up well and everything. I don't know. I've never done that. And in the afternoons, I usually have a snack like a Greek yogurt, fat-free Greek yogurt with Splenda in it, and maybe some fruit or some cocoa powder in it. And that's what I have for my snack with a bunch of water until my partner gets home. And like my dinners are usually the weak spot of my day because I haven't meal prepped them yet since moving. Like we moved like 2 months ago or 2 months ago, 2.5 months ago. And I haven't really gotten comfortable in like having all my, my routines and everything organized. So if you want to follow me in those journeys too, don't forget to follow. Dinner is usually something easy and handheld, like a sandwich or like soup and a salad or something like that. And I usually have an Arnold Palmer Light with it sometimes. That's like a nice little treat because I can't drink coffee in the afternoon. At night, I usually have another fruit or some like shredded mini wheats with soy milk if I really have a big sweets craving. Sometimes I just have like a kiwi or something a little bit before bed while we watch our nighttime shows, which is wrestling. But I still count that as progress because in the past I would probably have like binged or just been reckless with whatever I ate. I would just eat, whatever I felt like. But keeping the food kind of boring and the same or similar from week to week really helps cut down on the excitement and the dopamine rush that binging gives. Habit number 3 is hydration. So everyone knows, you have to drink a certain amount of water per day to stay hydrated, but something that I wasn't really feeling, the effects of that people said I should was being satiated by drinking water, I guess you could say. Once you reach a certain level of hydration, I feel like it kind of dampens your appetite. So starting the day with water definitely helps. Water before anything else. And then just keeping hydrated consistently, I feel like is more important than just the volume of water that you drink. And to switch it up, I include diet beverages or unsweetened beverages like Arnold Palmer Light or even like a diet soda from time to time because it's better than the alternative, which is a full sugar beverage or liquid calories. And it helps you stay less snacky, at least for me it does, between meals too. One way that I track my diet is if I don't see progress on the scale or off the scale, in terms of like my clothes fitting me or my endurance or performance, strength wise or anything like that. If I'm having a lot of inflammation, something like this, I track my food sometimes in a food diary just for a few days and see what I'm doing, what I'm actually eating, how my habits are, and it really makes me more mindful too of how I'm eating presently. And then for some foods, I do actually measure them when I meal prep. So basically, my portion of oatmeal for overnight oats, my portion of peanut butter powder, my coffee syrups, I measure those out with a tablespoon measure every morning. And I do measure out my portion of beans because beans are kind of a starch and a protein combined, so they can be a little bit more calorie dense than the other foods that I usually eat. And as a bonus habit, I want to include a note on just mindfulness and tracking your progress. I think you can do this without, losing your mind or becoming really obsessive with it. But if restriction and binging and stuff is something that's a problem for you, you might struggle with this at first because it does take a lot of mindfulness to approach it this way. But when I notice that I'm kind of stalling or something's not right, the vibes are off, I track, the basic rundown of what I ate that day. And also, like I mentioned before, I track the days of the week or like how many days in the week that I intentionally move or intentionally exercise. And the exercise tracking, I do it consistently because it's one of my habits of 2026. But the food tracking, I only do a little bit, like when I notice, that I'm not doing that great. And then I keep this really low key by just not doing it super consistently or tightly. Some days I just do all the habits on here, like the bare minimum, especially like I'll have a shorter walk, I'll do less intense movement, I will have a less strict diet, but it still counts because it's the cumulative effort and the consistency that matters more than I think the intensity. And that's really been how I sustainably have lost 20 pounds this year. Alongside with daily consistent movement, yeah, you don't have to be perfect to follow it and you don't have to be very strict. Being consistent and being able to lose the first 20 pounds really brings my confidence up in myself, like my ability to be consistent and disciplined and just take care of myself properly. It also really has affected my health in a good way. I've become stronger, my cardio, I have more endurance, like doing daily things. But yeah, like I said, I'm still in progress and I definitely still have hard days. And I'm still in progress. This is just the first 20 pounds off. So in the future, I'm going to make more videos about, you know, the other milestones of weight loss in my weight loss journey. So click subscribe if you want to follow along with that.